Well, thank you for that, Peter. And I've got to say, standing up here after listening to that and listening to the last two speakers, I've got to tell you, it makes me feel very, very old. Very old indeed. And I've got to tell you also, after listening to the last two speakers, I don't think there's really much I can say. I mean, the passion and the confidence that they have in the law school, the passion which they spoke about the course here, sums it up for me. And I'm really, really pleased to hear that, because that's the passion, it's the view that I held and all of my colleagues and fellow students held a very long time ago. And as Peter said, I was in the first group that graduated from Macquarie. That first group of law students was really exciting, because Macquarie Law School changed the way law is taught in Australia. And what George said about law in context, about understanding how the law operates, why the law operates as it does, social justice, was revolutionary. It transformed the way law was taught in Australia, and I've got to tell you, it is continuing to do that today. It is continuing to do that today, and it's very important, because in the time since I graduated, I finished in 1979, the law has completely changed. The legal landscape in Australia has completely changed. When I graduated, there were law firms that operated in one city and one city alone. There was one international law firm in Australia. People practiced local law. Today, that has all changed. It's changed completely. We've gone through a stage of national legal practices to international legal practices. There are now numerous firms from all over the world. A law is not something which is practiced locally. It's not something which is practiced at a state basis or a country basis. It is now international. And what is absolutely critical about the teaching of law today, and what is critical about the way Macquarie is going about it, is that it is keeping up with those changes. Australian law firms have merged with firms in China, with firms in Europe, the UK particularly, and the United States. Australian lawyers are working everywhere in the world, save for the Antarctica, and I was even corrected on that point when the current head of the Human Rights Commission, who was former Dean of Sydney University Law School, told me that she was doing some work in the Antarctica. I don't think she was actually there, but it was Antarctic work. But quite seriously, Australian lawyers are everywhere. And there's a very simple reason for that. Australian lawyers are particularly well trained as compared to many in the rest of the world. Australian lawyers are flexible, they work hard, they play hard, which is actually an attraction for many people, and they have a versatility and an ability to adapt to cultural and technological and political challenges which are really second to none. And as a result, if you graduate with a law degree, as George said, it's 50-50 as whether you go and actually practice law in a traditional sense, but it opens up some doorways which are going to be able to take you anywhere, absolutely anywhere. And the reason that Macquarie is so good at that, in my view, the reason that Macquarie has an advantage, an edge, and I say this now as somebody who employs lots and lots of law graduates, who interviews lots and lots of law graduates from all of the law schools around Australia, is very simple. What happens in Macquarie Law School is not just a teaching of black letter law, it's teaching you a way of thinking, a way of approaching problems, of critical thinking, of superior, or it gives you superior verbal and written communication skills. It gives you the ability to work as part of a team, which is absolutely fundamental to the way business, the way society operates today. The days of being a sole practitioner or a single lawyer sitting in a large firm have gone. It is now being part of a team. It's being part of a team which can adapt. It's part of a team which can be responsive. And the skills that you get from a place like Macquarie, with the sort of teaching that you get at Macquarie, are the skills that you will use in whatever you want to do. Now, I've been asked to say something about myself, and it illustrates a point. I did the combined degree, or it's called the combined degree now, George, or it used to be called a double degree. Sorry, I've got to get the terminology right, the double degree. I took courses in history, in politics, in computer science and chemistry, as well as my law degree. And though I didn't think so at the time, all of those subjects have in some way or in some form helped me. Perhaps not directly in terms of the technical sense, but certainly in the way I approach problems, the way I deal with clients, the way I deal with people. As an employer, my advice to you in terms of selection of subjects is, for heaven's sake, do what you're interested in. Do what you're passionate in. This is the last time, potentially, in your life that you will have the privilege the ability, the time to study what you're interested in, to pursue areas of interest, to look at things that you've always wanted to look at, to spend time thinking about. And if you take the courses that you're genuinely interested in, you're going to do better in them. And when it comes time to look for a job, whether it be as a lawyer or as something else, those good grades are going to help you. So for heaven's sake, don't think, yeah, I've got to do accounting, I've got to do economics, I've got to do this, that, or anything else. Do what you're interested in. More importantly, do what you're passionate about. Secondly, as Claire has said, enjoy the life, enjoy the Macquarie experience. Again, when we're looking at graduates for employment, when we're going through the quite literally hundreds and hundreds of CVs we get, we look at the grades, we look at the courses you did, but you know what? Then we go and look at what else you've done. We look at the societies that you've been involved in on campus. We look at the activities that you've been involved in. We look at the things that you've done in the community. We look at the jobs, the part-time jobs you've had. Because what we want are people who have an ability to do things, to multitask, to not just be able to study, but to be able to study, to have balance in your life, to enjoy yourself, to work. So for heaven's sake, take advantage of the whole experience. Again, it's the last occasion that you're going to get to do just that. Don't worry about the future. If you enjoy yourself and work hard here, it will follow. It will follow. Now, when I left Macquarie, I thought I had a very clear path as to where I was going to go, and I've got to tell you, I was completely and utterly wrong. I initially practiced as a solicitor, then I practiced as a barrister for a while, and then I found myself back working for a firm called Clayton Utz as a partner. And the one thing I knew with certainty when I left Macquarie was I was never going to work for a large law firm. Well, how wrong can you be? And the reason I made that transition, the reason I accepted that offer was I enjoy working with people. I enjoy collaborative teams. I enjoy interaction. And I found as a barrister that was something that was very different. I got involved with another Macquarie graduate in a new area of the law called class actions. They were only introduced in 1992. It was exciting, it was cutting edge. Nobody knew what the hell they were doing. And I've got to tell you, as a Macquarie graduate, that was a real advantage because there was no black letter precedent to follow. There were no rules to follow. We had to make it up as we went along. And because we came from a background of innovation, of thinking about why the law operated as it did, of thinking about how the law should be, we actually found that we were pretty good at it because we could think outside the square. We could think outside the box. And as a result, we got involved in class actions involving absolutely everything. Pharmaceutical products, medical devices, banks. We're just doing a whole lot of work that's coming out of the GFC, bushfires, aviation, you name it. There's been a class action about it and we've been involved in it. And it's been a hell of a lot of fun. As a result of this, I've spent time working in the United States, in Europe, a little bit of time in Asia. Perhaps most importantly for me, I've also made an incredibly diverse range of friends all around the world, people I've worked with who have become not just clients, not just work colleagues, but close personal friends. And that is something I don't think would have happened if I hadn't taken the path I had and I hadn't taken the opportunity to go to Macquarie. I genuinely believe that all of that flowed as a result of the legal education and the approach that I got from Macquarie. More recently, as Peter said, I've been involved in the management of Clayton Utz, which is a very large and complex business. We've got offices all around Australia, in Hong Kong, and we work, as I've said, all around the world. I've got to tell you that's probably the one thing that Macquarie didn't assist me in getting ready for. One of the things you find as a lawyer when you come to try and run a business is you've got a lot of learning to do. But again, you think about things critically. You approach it as part of a team. You, as Claire said, you're continually learning, and it flows. It flows. And as I said, it was Macquarie that made this possible because as a Macquarie student, you're going to get the skills that you need to pursue whatever career you want to do or want to pursue. You're going to get the confidence. You're going to get the confidence to take on challenges. You're going to get the confidence from things like the mooting program to stand up in front of a group of people, whether they be business colleagues, whether it be a court, whether it be as an academic, and talk to people. You're going to get the skills to think critically, to analyse. You're going to get the verbal and written communication skills. You're going to be challenged, as Claire said, and yeah, you will be challenged. You'll be forced to push boundaries. And I've got to tell you, when you get out into the big wide world, that is absolutely critical. There's something else I want to say about Macquarie, which I am very passionate about and which the law school is very passionate about, and that's the importance that Macquarie places on social justice and the role that law plays in delivering social justice and the role that lawyers play. And again, that was something in 1975 through 79 when the law school was set up, which other law schools wouldn't touch with a barge pole. No matter where a Macquarie graduate ends up, whether it be in a big law firm, whether it be in legal aid, whether it's in government or whether it's in business, the commitment to what we learnt or what was inculcated into us at this place about social justice and the role of the law, it's something we do every day. It's something which is part of us, and it's incredibly important. Now, that could be for Claire, who is working, I think, in one of the toughest gigs in the law, the Legal Aid Commission. I was the director of the commission. I saw how hard those lawyers worked. I saw what it was like dealing with those clients. I have nothing but admiration. It is a hard gig. Claire does it every single day. For other people in say, a big firm like Clayton Utz, we have pro bono programs where a lawyer could be doing anything from working with a homeless person, street person, trying to solve a pension problem, right through to a matter we did in our Western Australian office which involved setting aside a murder conviction for somebody who'd been framed by the police, which we ultimately did in the High Court of Australia. It's something that all Macquarie lawyers do, and it's something which I think Macquarie Law School should be very, very proud of. I know I am. So what can you do with a Macquarie Law degree? Well, I think that question's probably been answered. It's very simple. You can do absolutely anything. If I just think of the Macquarie graduates that I know across the 30-odd years that the Macquarie Law School's been teaching and where they've ended up, simple, they've ended up everywhere. There's lots and lots of people in the traditional roles. There's lots of judges, there are barristers, there are solicitors, there are people working in-house in law firms. There are politicians. Mike Kelly, who's current minister in the federal government, Rob Stokes, a member of the New South Wales Parliament, both Macquarie Law graduates. There are people teaching. Steve Bottomley is currently the Dean of the ANU Law School, a graduate of Macquarie University Law School. There are people in every sort of business, in every sort of area of government. One of my colleagues ended up bouncing around in the back of an armoured personnel carrier for 4 years trying to, as a diplomat, build civil society in Afghanistan. Another friend of mine from Macquarie Law School, slightly younger, ended up as the General Counsel of the Australian Federal Police. People from Macquarie have done absolutely everything you can imagine and will continue to do that. And the reason, as I said, that they can do that is because of the skills that they've got from Macquarie. The ability to solve problems, the ability to communicate, the ability to work as a team. The leadership skills are absolutely critical. So, whatever you do, as Claire said, we wish you well, but we sincerely hope that you do choose to come to Macquarie. We sincerely hope that you do choose to take up the opportunities which Macquarie offers you. It's an interesting decision, I can say that, because what Peter left off the CV was that my eldest son is now in his 4th year here at the law school and is loving it, absolutely loving it. And I've got to say, watching him and the way he has experienced, and what he has experienced here, has confirmed that the place is as good as it was when I was here. In fact, the place is a whole lot better. So I wish you well, and I guess we all look forward to answering any questions that you may have about the law school, about the courses, or about the opportunities which a Macquarie Law degree will give you. Thank you.